Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS. Let's see what they have for us this time. CloudWatch launches OTel Container Insights for EKS. Embracing open telemetry while routing every metric through CloudWatch's billing meter is a special kind of open. 30-second granularity sounds great until you do the math on what per metric per region means at cluster scale. GuardDuty AI-powered investigations accelerate threat response in preview. Bolting AI onto GuardDuty to triage the alerts that GuardDuty generates is a beautiful closed loop of monetization. The same service that floods your console now charges to interpret the flood. Route 53 Global Resolver now supports sharing DNS views between AWS accounts. Cross-account DNS sharing without ownership transfer, controlled through RAM permissions that come in 3 flavors of how much rope do you want to hand the consumer team. Shockingly, it's free, but my sympathies to whoever debugs the cross-account monstrosity this turns into. Automate AWS invoice retrieval with new programmatic APIs. An API to download the invoices documenting just how much they charge you, free of charge. The generosity is staggering. Finance teams have spent years clicking through hundreds of payer accounts like it's 2009. The Post admits this, but somehow presents it as innovation rather than dreadfully, painfully late. Run isolated sandboxes with full lifecycle control. AWS Lambda introduces micro VMs. Lambda runs on Firecracker micro VMs. Now Lambda offers micro VMs. Years spent insisting servers were a relic, and the fix for running untrusted AI-generated code is apparently a virtual machine you control the lifecycle of. Reinventing EC2 one primitive at a time, except this one pauses to a low idle cost. Define low, because you've already utterly failed at defining serverless. Upgrading Lambda function runtimes at scale with AWS Transform Custom. Until Lambda or Transform do this natively under the hood instead of spamming me with 60,000 emails every time a runtime deprecates, I truly do not want to hear from this team. It's your deprecation mess. Either Transform is good enough to solve this for customers, in which case do it already, or it isn't and you're just blathering for your own marketing purposes. Put up or please shut up. Huntington Bank. Redacting sensitive data from 400 million documents with AWS. A 95% accuracy target for redacting social security numbers means roughly 1 in 20 slips through, which is comforting for a top 10 bank. 5 AWS services stitched together to scrub data that should never have piled up unredacted for a decade. Compliance. We've heard of it. Open governance in MySQL, a step forward for the community. Oracle granting outsiders 4 whole steering committee seats while keeping the majority is the corporate equivalent of letting your kids vote on dinner, then ordering what you wanted anyway. Still, an actual GitHub presence after 15 years is progress, albeit glacial. AWS applauds loudly, having already forked Redis the moment licensing got inconvenient. Pretty sure Oracle isn't going to like what happens here if they start backsliding on their commitment. How AWS and a local community organization built a developer engagement model that works. A collaborator, not a sponsor, which is corporate speak for we still want the logo on the banner, just don't call it that. Credit where due. 54 people building actual apps beats another slide deck. The blog post's real purpose, though, is teaching AWS teams to harvest user groups at scale. Modernizing border control with digital arrival cards on AWS Cloud. Replacing a paper form you fill out on the plane with a 14-service AWS architecture, complete with SageMaker doing AI-enabled risk assessments on your customs declaration. The one traveler, one declaration model meets one government, infinite Aurora instances. Somewhere, a border agent who just wanted a stamp is reading the EKS docs. Prevent data exfiltration. AWS egress controls for cloud workloads. Worried about data leaving your network? AWS suggests preventing exfiltration with a hub-and-spoke architecture, transit gateway, network firewall, DNS firewall, and VPC endpoint policies, each one billing separately, naturally. Securing your egress now costs more than the data being stolen. The real exfiltration was apparent in the line items we met along the way. Restrict AWS Management Console access to expected networks with sign-in resource-based policies and RCPs. Locking the console door to public Wi-Fi is useful, free, and roughly a decade overdue. The fun part is the designated principal who keeps access from anywhere, because nothing says compliance like building a deliberate bypass into your network perimeter. Don't lose that ARN or enjoy explaining the lockout to your CISO when your corporate ISP pulls a maintenance and changes your IP address. A new way to keep your AWS certification current. Skipping the exam by grinding through Skill Builder Lab sounds great until you remember Skill Builder requires a paid subscription. So your free recertification path is free the way airport Wi-Fi is free, after you've already paid for something else. It still beats a testing center appointment and the existential dread. And finally, 2 CVEs, issues in language servers for AWS and Amazon Q developer plugins. Your AI coding assistant now executes arbitrary commands from any workspace you open, which is one way to ship features faster than you intended. 2 CVEs, no workarounds, and the only fix is upgrading the thing meant to help you. Thank Wiz, who keeps finding the bugs AWS's robots miss. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. Stay salty.